The 3-year-old girl was framed by her stepmother, and in a fit of rage her father broke 12 of her ribs and left her in the freezing snow. She thought she was going to meet her great-grandmother in heaven, but little did she know, she was actually the long-lost heiress of the powerful Su family in the imperial capital. 8 powerful uncles rushed in to protect her, and her godlike Xiao grandfather spoiled her beyond imagination. It turned out that 4 years ago, the little girl's mother had been wandering the streets, until Lin Feng found her and brought her home. Not long after giving birth, she passed away from illness. Soon after, Lin Feng remarried and brought home a new stepmother. But this pregnant stepmother, 8 months along, deliberately threw herself down the stairs to frame the child. When questioned by her father, the little girl trembled and cried, "It wasn't me, Daddy, please believe me." Yet the stepmother pretended to be kind, saying softly, "She's still a child. She didn't mean it." Furious, Lin Feng ordered the servants to lock the girl inside the woodshed. The little one curled up in the darkness, heartbroken and terrified. "Fu Bao didn't push anyone. Why won't anyone believe me?" she whispered, longing for her mother. The next morning, the starving girl thought her father would finally feel pity for her. Instead, he cruelly threw her into the snow. "You killed your unborn brother. Such a wicked heart for a child." With that, Lin Feng raised the stick high and brought it down hard on her tiny body. Even though her tiny body was covered in bruises, the little girl stubbornly insisted, "I didn't push, stepmom." Lin Feng thought of his wife lying in the hospital bed, and the more he tried to justify himself, the harder he swung the stick again. Moments later, Lin Feng was panting heavily, completely unaware that his phone had slipped from his pocket. The little girl tried to get up, but her weak limbs gave out and she collapsed into the snow again. "Am I going to die? Maybe I can see mommy again," she murmured. Then a gentle voice echoed in her ears. "Little Fu Bao, call your uncle. Hurry." As if guided by instinct, her trembling fingers found a number and pressed call. Meanwhile, in the Su family courtyard in Kyoto, the patriarch was holding a solemn family meeting. "It's been 4 years," he said gravely, "and you still haven't found your sister. She's been sick since childhood, mentally impaired that I can't imagine how much she's suffered these 4 years." Before he could continue, Dr. Su's phone suddenly rang. The old man's face darkened. "Speakerphone," he ordered. "Su family rules forbid calls during meetings." The next second, a faint little voice came through the line. "Are you my uncle, Dr. Su? I'm Fu Bao. My mommy is Su Jingyu." The old man's chopsticks slipped from his hand and clattered onto the table. "Uncle, please take me away. Fu Bao's cold and hungry. Fu Bao didn't push anyone. Auntie and Daddy made me kneel outside. I think I'm going to die." Dr. Su froze, heart pounding, and quickly asked where she was. But before he could finish, the call was abruptly cut off. The patriarch shot up from his chair, his tone sharp as steel. "That I don't care what it takes. Find the location of that phone within the hour." Meanwhile, Lin Feng kicked at the unconscious girl lying in the snow. "Dead or alive. Makes no difference," he muttered coldly. "Should have never taken in that beggar woman in the first place." Without another glance, he turned and walked away. The little girl lay motionless in the snow, despair washing over her. She had waited so long, yet her uncle never came. "Does uncle not want Fu Bao either? Maybe no one in this world loves me," she whispered. Just then, a thunderous bang. A size 48 boot smashed open the Lin family's front gate. A towering man charged through the snow straight toward the tiny body. He tore off his coat and wrapped the girl tightly in his arms. "This face. It's exactly like my sister's when she was little. She really is our Su family's Fu Bao." The child's eyes fluttered open, her voice barely audible. "Are you, uncle? Fu Bao didn't push anyone. Don't be afraid, Fu Bao. Your uncles are here now," he said softly, lifting her carefully. "We need to get her to the hospital. She's on the verge of dying." Hearing the commotion, Lin Feng rushed out of the house, only to freeze when he saw who it was. The CEO of the Su group, Su Yichen himself. Lin Feng's face went pale. He stumbled forward, bowing repeatedly and flattering desperately. After all, with just one word from Su Yichen, the Lin family's crumbling empire could rise from the ashes. Su Yichen's expression stayed cold, his gaze sharp enough to see utility. As he turned to leave, he dropped a single cryptic line that made Lin Feng's heart freeze. "The Lin family is quite something." Confused, Lin Feng quickly asked the butler what that meant. When he learned that those men were Fu Bao's uncles, he felt as if struck by lightning. His body trembled uncontrollably. The Su family, 8 sons and 1 beloved daughter. the most powerful family in the imperial capital. And the beggar woman he'd taken in 4 years ago was that very daughter. And now he had beaten the Su family's granddaughter within an inch of her life. Outside the operating room, the entire Su family waited anxiously. The youngest uncle stepped out, his face dark with anger. Her arm and ribs are fractured in multiple places. Severe frostbite all over her body. The fifth uncle clenched his fists, teeth grinding. How could anyone do that to a 3-year-old? I'll end that bastard myself. Enough, the youngest uncle said sharply. The priority now is Fubao. Moments later, 8 uncles and 1 grandfather stood gathered around the hospital bed. The unconscious little girl seemed to hear a distant voice. Little Fubao, wake up. Her eyelids fluttered open, revealing 8 handsome but unfamiliar faces staring down at her. Uncles, did you come to take me home? She whispered, tears trembling in her lashes. Yes, we came to bring you home. No one will ever hurt you again, one of them said, choking with emotion. Tears welled up as she whispered, when I go home, will you throw me away too? Will you hit me, or yell at me, or not let me eat? The youngest uncle gently clasped her tiny hand, his chest tightening with pain. He couldn't begin to imagine what she'd been through in the Lin household. Bending down, his voice softened, trembling slightly. Fubao, tell uncle, what are you afraid of? Tears brimmed in Fubao's eyes as she finally spoke up. When I go home, will I have food? Will they still hit me? The room fell silent. Everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe the Lin family had treated a 3-year-old so cruelly, denying even the basics. Don't be afraid, Fubao. You can eat whatever you want when you're home, the uncles soothed. You're with family now. We'll protect you with our lives. This is your eldest uncle, Su Yichen, CEO of the Su Group. If Fubao wants something, he can get it for her. This is your second uncle, Su Zilin, an acclaimed architectural designer. Your third uncle is an accomplished captain. He can take you on planes and show you the world. Fourth uncle, Su Luo, is a household movie star. You've probably seen him on TV. Fifth uncle runs construction. Tough as they come. Sixth uncle is a scientist. Seventh uncle works in covert operations. Mysterious but deadly effective. And there's your doting grandfather. Still, Fubao couldn't calm down. I didn't push anyone. But Daddy and Grandpa say I killed my brother, she whispered. The uncles rushed forward, comforting her and insisting they believed she had done nothing wrong. At that moment, the eldest uncle pulled up the old missing person file on their sister. To everyone's shock, the sister, the child the Su family had cherished, had drifted away and died far from home, and the records hinted at Lin Feng's hand in her fate. The eldest uncle shrugged off his coat, rolled up his sleeves and smirked coldly. You know why I called you here, right? 8 against 1, hardly what you'd call fair play, huh? The second uncle grinned. That's exactly what we were waiting to hear, brother. The third uncle stepped forward quickly to restrain them. We live under the law. No open violence. The third uncle frowned and turned to the nurse. You got any burlap sacks here? If we're gonna hit him, might as well do it properly. Moments later, a few of them rushed forward and yanked a sack over Lin Feng's head. Fists and kicks rained down like a storm. Lin Feng's screams echoed through the hallway. Meanwhile, inside the hospital room, Fubao heard a voice softly calling her name. A long-haired man in ancient robes sat casually on a table. Little Fubao, he said with a gentle smile, I'm your master. Fubao blinked in disbelief. Master? He looked even more childish than she was. The man chuckled. Your mother entrusted you to me long ago, to be my disciple. When you called your uncle the other day, I was the one who helped you connect the call. Fubao's eyes filled with tears. Then, why didn't you protect me? You're my master, aren't you? After Mommy died, no one cared when I cried or when I hurt, she whispered. The man gently took her hand. It wasn't that I didn't care, that I was bound by fate. I could only appear when your life was truly in danger. With that, he tied a red string around her tiny wrist. Warmth spread through her body instantly, chasing away the cold and fear. Before she could thank him, the man vanished in a shimmer of light. Just then, several uncles and her grandfather entered, each carrying a tray of food. The youngest uncle brought custard buns, and the fifth uncle made a steaming bowl of beef noodles. Grandfather proudly held his signature dish, heart-shaped 9-spice sausage. They crowded eagerly around her bed, insisting she try each of their homemade dishes first. Watching Fubao happily eating, the uncles' hearts melted. She looked unbearably cute. Her face was just like their sister's when she was a child. A few days later, the battered Fubao was miraculously discharged from the hospital. The first thing she did was search for her stuffed rabbit, the gift her mother had left her. Meanwhile, Lin Feng sat on the sofa wrapped in bandages, only one toe able to move faintly. A fake sweet woman holding the repaired rabbit cooed, "Don't worry, Fu Bao will come back for her things." She claimed she'd washed and sewn the rabbit, seeing it would make Fu Bao happy. But her gesture wasn't for the Lin family, it was for the Su family's wealth. If she could latch onto even one of the Su family's 8 uncles, her scheming would be worth it. Just then, the 8 powerful uncles burst into the Lin house flanked by bodyguards. Lin Feng instantly put on a flattering smile that "It was all my fault before. Please forgive me, baby." The 5th uncle sneered with contempt. "Clearly they didn't do enough, that I'll make sure he pays." The youngest uncle stepped forward, shielding Fu Bao behind him, and ordered them to hand over her little rabbit. Fu Bao lit up when she saw the rabbit, but she had one small request. She wanted the youngest uncle to walk with her to the small grove. She explained she had a pet parrot and hoped to take it with her. But the parrot, named Xiaowu, was skittish. It flew away at the sight of strangers. "Xiaowu isn't a bad bird," Fu Bao said. "Uncle, wait outside, I'll go in and bring Xiaowu out myself." Yet Xiaowu kept muttering something that sounded like "Usabi." Hearing that, the little girl ran and cried, "Uncle, it's not Yubi." She'd barely taken a few steps when she ran into her stepmother. The stepmother sneered, "Knew you'd come for Xiaowu." Then she clamped a hand over Fu Bao's mouth. "You should be happy to see Auntie," the green tea woman sneered. "Auntie doesn't have her baby any. Shouldn't you take responsibility? All I need is for you to say a few nice things to your uncles for me." Before she could finish, Fu Bao sank her teeth into the woman's arm. The woman screamed and swung her hand to slap her. But in the next instant she was hurled several meters back as if struck by an invisible force. The youngest uncle caught Fu Bao in his arms, startled. "I didn't even touch her. How did she fly like that?" He kicked the woman square in the face. "You call yourself a mother? Go to hell, you piece of trash." From a nearby tree branch, the parrot Xiaowu flapped his wings excitedly. "Hit the dummy! Hit the dummy!" Looking up at her feathered friend, Fu Bao asked worriedly, "Uncle, how do we get him down?" The uncle called out, "Xiao, come down. I'll buy you some meat." But the parrot shouted back, "No meat. Self-discipline. No fat." The bribe clearly failed. The uncle sighed and pretended to walk away, pulling Fu Bao along. But Fu Bao burst into tears. "Uncle, please don't leave Xiaowu behind." Realizing she meant it, the uncle quickly bent down and said softly, "I'm sorry that I didn't mean it that way." Fu Bao froze. She'd heard "I'm sorry" so many times before, but this was the first time it came from someone who truly cared. Wiping her tears, she gave a brave little smile. "Don't worry, Uncle, that Xiaowu will come down. Let's try together, okay?" Yet no matter what they tried, the parrot wouldn't budge from the branch. The other uncles stood nearby, completely stunned. "Dad's an idiot," one of the uncles muttered, "that he can't even get a parrot down." The 5th uncle jumped up eagerly, flailing his arms like a big gorilla in an over-the-top show. From the branch, Xiaowu flapped his wings and mimicked excitedly, "Idiot, idiot." The 5th uncle ground his teeth in frustration and stamped his feet. "Stop wasting Fu Bao's energy," the 4th uncle said. "Looks like only she can get that bird down." They stepped back, giving the little girl room to try. Fu Bao opened her arms and called softly, "Xiao, come on. Come with us, that will take you to your new home." The parrot softened at her voice and began to move toward her. But a sudden commotion cut through the moment. Limping forward, Lin Feng announced he'd help catch the bird. Fu Bao instinctively stepped between the parrot and him. "Please don't catch Xiaowu, Uncle, that he's a good bird." The 5th uncle, already boiling with anger, snapped, "Get lost, or I'll make you pay." The eldest uncle made a sharp hand gesture. Several bodyguards moved in and hauled Lin Feng away, one grabbing him by the arm apiece. A while later, Fu Bao returned to the Lin family courtyard with Xiaowu perched on her arm. Lin Feng rushed over with a forced smile. "Daddy will buy you lots of toys for your parrot, okay?" But Fu Bao's heart was already cold. She didn't want his toys, or him. That day she had seen it clearly. Her father truly wanted to kill her. Lin Feng tried to speak again, but the 5th uncle grabbed him by the collar and dragged him aside. "You think you deserve to be her father?" The 5th uncle growled before slamming a kick into his groin. A dull crack echoed, like an egg being crushed. Lin Feng collapsed to the ground, screaming in agony, nearly blacking out. His mother rushed to help him, but Lin's father stopped her. "We've got no money left. He'll live. Let him deal with it." Misfortune piled on. Debt collectors showed up at their door. "No money. Then sign over the house." Once you do, get out. Meanwhile, Fubao took her very first plane ride. Her face was lit with pure excitement. Pressing her face against the window, she whispered, "Are we in the sky? I wonder if Mommy's here too. She's in heaven now, right?" The 8 uncles and her grandfather all fell silent. The youngest uncle gently pulled Fubao into his arms, his eyes full of sorrow and love. "Close your eyes, Fubao. If you sleep, you'll see Mommy in your dreams," the youngest uncle whispered softly. But Fubao knew deep down he was lying just to comfort her. What she didn't notice was the faint glow from the red string on her wrist. In her dream, she found herself surrounded by gifts. Even the candy floating in the sky tasted sweet and warm. Suddenly, her mother appeared before her. Fubao's eyes filled with joy as she ran straight into her mother's arms. "From now on, your uncles and grandpa are your family," her mother said gently. "You must live happily, Fubao. Grandma's health isn't good. You have to promise Mommy you'll take care of her." "I will, Mommy," Fubao sobbed. "Mommy will always love you." "And Fubao will always love Mommy," she replied through tears. What she didn't know was that it was all her master's magic. "Now, I've repaid what I owed your mother." When the plane landed, 4 extended Rolls-Royces lined up outside the airport, catching the attention of tourists and reporters alike. Especially the little girl in their arms. Everyone whispered, "Who is that child? What kind of family treats her like this?" Meanwhile, Lin Feng's family of 4 hid under a bridge, penniless and broken. The green tea woman pulled out her phone with a wicked grin. She was ready to make Fubao pay. On Fubao's first birthday, the celebration was beyond extravagant. Surrounded by her 8 CO uncles, she wore a $10 billion limited edition haute couture dress that sparkled like a fairy tale dream. Watching from below, her older sister clenched her fists, envy burning in her chest. If Fubao hadn't appeared, that dress would have been mine. She lunged forward, shouting, "That dress, you're wearing my dress." Fubao accidentally dropped her piece of cake onto her dress. Her eyes welled up. This was the dress her eldest uncle had carefully picked for her. In the next instant, Han Han slapped her across the face. "That dress. Give it back." Fubao couldn't hold it in any longer. She slapped her right back. "This is my most precious thing. I won't give it to you." Han Han clutched her cheek and burst into tears. "You actually hit me." At that moment, the second aunt pointed furiously at Fubao. "How dare you hit your sister? Don't you have any manners?" Fubao's nose reddened, her voice trembling. "But she hit me first." "Nonsense." The woman snapped, "Your sister would never hit you first." The birthday guests, all influential figures, watched the scene unfold in shock. Whispers rippled through the crowd. The Su family's little heiress just came back and she's already stealing her sister's dress. Maybe those online rumors about her pushing her stepmother down the stairs were true. The second aunt pointed toward another little girl. "You tell us, who started the fight?" The girl, still upset that Fubao hadn't shared her cake, lied smoothly. "Fubao hit first." Fubao's heart sank. "They're lying. That dress was from my uncle and she hit me first. Why do adults always blame me? Is their world really so different from ours?" "Stop making excuses," the second aunt said coldly. "Everyone saw it. You hit her first. What do you have to say now?" But the eldest uncle and the grandfather both believed Fubao would never start a fight. The eldest uncle's calm voice carried weight. "Who said Fubao hit first? Step forward and say it to my face." The second aunt snapped. Han Han might be a little spoiled, but she would never hit anyone. "Ever since Fubao came into this family, you've all been targeting my daughter. What exactly did she do wrong?" Seeing the situation spiral, the eldest uncle sighed. "Butler, pull the security footage." The second aunt's face darkened instantly. "You're checking security footage over children's play. Are you trying to destroy my daughter?" Moments later, the footage played on the large screen in the hall. Everyone could clearly see it was Han Han who struck first. Her carefully maintained perfect heiress image shattered in an instant. The second aunt quickly shielded her daughter. "She's just a child. She must have remembered wrong." But no one believed her. It was obvious she had lied to twist the truth. "Big brother, this will traumatize her," the woman protested. The eldest uncle remained gentle but firm. "Then let Han Han apologize to her sister." Han Han looked at Fubao and burst into tears, crying uncontrollably. She knew she was wrong, but she still couldn't bring herself to say sorry. Fubao gazed at her quietly. "My sister isn't a bad person. She's had love all along. She should be happy. So why does she always look so sad?" The youngest uncle gently patted Han Han's head. "Tell everyone, why did you hit Fubao?" Hanhana's voice trembled that I just wanted that dress. If there were no little sister, it would have been mine. Just then, the eldest uncle produced a purchase record, his tone calm but firm. This order was custom-made according to Fubao's exact height and measurements. Han couldn't even fit into it. So this dress has always belonged to Fubao. His words left both little girls frozen, unsure what to say. But the second aunt still refused to accept it. We never said the dress was Hanhana's. It's just that you've all been showing favoritism. That's why my daughter acted out. She felt unloved. The eldest uncle took out another order form. Both girls have dresses. This one is Hanhana's and hers cost 500,000 more than Fubao's. Tell me again, where's the favoritism? The youngest uncle smiled gently. If you really want the same design as Fubao's, uncle and big brother can order one for you anytime. Han finally lowered her head, blushing. I'm sorry, Fubao. Fubao smiled warmly. It's okay, big sister. You look kinda cute when you blush. Grandfather Su sighed deeply. Second daughter-in-law, go home and reflect on yourself. But the woman clenched her fists. Even if Han was wrong, she's my child. The Su family has no right to discipline her. Admit it, you're just biased. Just then, commotion erupted at the door. Lin Feng and Fubao's stepmother were standing outside. We're Fubao's parents. We came to celebrate her birthday, they shouted. But the guards blocked the way. No invitation, no entry. The second aunt's eyes gleamed. Perfect timing, she muttered. Since everyone thinks poor Han was the bully, let's show them what kind of child Fubao really is. Moments later, Lin Feng and the stepmother forced their way inside, pretending to look remorseful. Lin Feng bowed his head. It's all my fault. I didn't care for you enough. When your stepmom lost the baby, I was upset and I lost control. But Fubao's face fell. He's lying again. He used to hit her long before that day. The youngest uncle could no longer contain his fury. He was ready to drag both of them out of the hall himself. The eldest uncle raised a hand to stop him, his tone cold and sharp. You said Fubao pushed you down the stairs. Don't think you can lie just because Lin's house had no cameras. He then looked toward the parrot perched on Fubao's shoulder. Shao, repeat what you heard that day. The parrot puffed up its feathers and mimicked the woman's voice perfectly. Auntie lost her baby. You'll take the blame, all right. If your uncles ask, you'll say you pushed me. The entire hall fell silent. The tone, the pitch, it was identical to the stepmother's voice. Could it be her miscarriage wasn't an accident at all? The green tea stepmother sneered. You expect me to be convicted by a stupid bird. Why would I sacrifice my own child just to frame her? Suddenly, the massive screen in the hall flickered to life. The eldest uncle's voice was like ice. Your acting was impressive. Let's refresh your memory, shall we? The footage revealed everything. The woman luring Fubao to the staircase, the deliberate tumble, the fake screams, all part of her elaborate performance. Lin Feng froze, realizing in horror that he had wronged his daughter. The woman stammered, pale as a ghost. No, impossible. Lin's house had no surveillance. Where did this footage come from? The eldest uncle smirked and tossed a document onto Lin Feng's face. A disciplinary report from the hospital. Her miscarriage was premeditated. Even the 2 hemorrhages in the record were falsified. Lin Feng finally saw the truth. She'd learned the Lin family was collapsing and feared losing her wealthy prospects. So she'd staged the miscarriage, using Fubao as the perfect scapegoat. A cruel 2 birds with 1 stone scheme. Now all Lin Feng could do was grovel. Daddy misunderstood you, sweetheart. I'll make it up to you, I promise. The eldest uncle jabbed a finger at the footage and hissed, you broke 24 Fubao's ribs. How is that a misunderstanding? The room inhaled as one. No one could deny it. This was an attempt to kill. To toss such a small child into the freezing snow. Lin Feng's actions were lower than beastly. As for the Lin family business collapsing, it was their own doing. Rampant smuggling brought them to ruin. Lin Feng's true colors bared. Even if I treated Fubao poorly, she's still my child, he stammered. The eldest uncle slid a document across the table. DNA test results. You are not Fubao's biological father. Lin Feng froze. He'd raised this child for 3 years, only to learn she wasn't his blood. Enraged, he lunged at Fubao and snarled, I'll drag this bastard down with me, make the Su family regret it for life. Before he could act, Fubao's eldest uncle landed a powerful kick that sent him flying. Police who had arrived immediately restrained the couple. Lin Feng seethed, his hatred toward that vicious wife burning hot. In a last, brutal act, he kicked his wife in the ribs while officers watched. Her head struck the floor with a sickening thud. She died on the spot, her life ending in fury and regret. She never got to enter the world of riches. Her story ended here. Grandmother heard of Fu Bao's ordeal and felt as if her heart had been ripped apart. The little girl, with a surprising composure, soothed her. "Grandma, I'm okay, don't cry. Daddy is the one who did wrong, not Fu Bao. He should be the one to feel sorrow." At 3 years old, she behaved with the gravity of someone far older. The uncles replied in unison, "Fu Bao is right. She did nothing wrong." From today on, the eldest uncle declared, "The Su family will not allow Fu Bao to suffer another moment." That night, Fu Bao's master helped her open her heaven's eye for the first time. That he then pointed toward the ceiling, where a ghostly woman was hanging upside down. Fu Bao blinked innocently. "Who's that ugly auntie? Why is she even uglier than you?" The master froze. He'd seen gifted disciples before, but even the best took 49 days to awaken their sight. Fu Bao did it in just one night. He'd hit the jackpot. "Very well," he said, stroking his beard with a grin. "Let's test your potential. Help me subdue that ugly ghost." The ghost flared up in outrage. "Who are you calling ugly? You may insult my ghostly pride, but not my angelic beauty." Mimicking her master's gestures, Fu Bao clasped her tiny hands and recited the chant word for word. The ghost wailed miserably. "I was just passing by. Why am I suddenly part of a live demonstration?" The master tossed a soul urn into Fu Bao's hands. "From now on, you can use this to help me capture spirits." Fu Bao looked at the immobilized ghost curiously. "Who are you and why are you so ugly?" The ghost sighed. "In life, she'd been a construction worker on Fu Bao's second uncle's site. 6 years ago, Fu Bao's second aunt paid her 20,000 yuan to sprinkle salt into the uncle's tea. But before she could do it, a wooden plank fell from the top floor and killed her instantly." "Why would you put salt in uncle's tea?" Fu Bao asked, puzzled. The ghost yawned lazily. "Kids shouldn't ask so many questions. I'm sleepy." With that, she drifted off into Fu Bao's bracelet and vanished. The next morning, Fu Bao greeted her grandpa cheerfully while peeking through the balcony rails. But in the next second, her head got stuck between the bars. "Don't panic, Fu Bao," her second uncle shouted. "I'll call the firefighters right now." Fu Bao shook her head frantically. "No. Firefighters are superheroes. They save the world. I don't want Superman to see me looking ugly like this." Her uncles gathered below, brainstorming. "Her head's bigger than her body. If we can just pull her body through, she'll be free." One suggested we could put an air cushion underneath. If she falls, she won't get hurt. At once, every uncle turned to glare at him as if to say, "You want to die?" Grandma objected furiously. "Absolutely not. What if she hits her head? What if she twists her neck, or pokes her own eye?" So the fifth uncle ran upstairs to fetch a hydraulic cutter. Meanwhile, her master's voice echoed in her head. "You have the red string I gave you. Just bend the bars." "You're lying again, master," she muttered, but then gripped the metal gently. Crack. The iron bars bent like clay. Her uncles froze, jaws dropping wide. "How did you get out?" They rushed forward and surrounded her protectively. "Shh. Don't let your second aunt see," the eldest uncle warned. "Never show your strength in front of outsiders, understand?" The fifth uncle grinned proudly. "Fu Bao's amazing. Want to help uncle carry bricks at the construction site?" The next day, Fu Bao dressed up beautifully to visit her grandma. But as soon as she entered, she noticed something chilling. A dark mist floating around her second aunt's body. Her master's voice murmured, "That's death aura. Only someone who has killed carries such energy." Fu Bao's face went pale. "Second aunt, she's so scary." Moments later, Fu Bao's second uncle drove her toward the construction site. On the way, her master's voice echoed in her head. "Today I'll teach you how to exorcise spirits. First, I'll show you the labor talisman. With it, the ghost will obediently work for you." The ghost clenched her teeth. "Work in broad daylight. That's not a job, it's suicide." The master chuckled. "Next, I'll teach you soul transfer art. We'll bind this ugly ghost to an object so she can move freely under the sun. Pick something light, preferably something that can fly." Little parrot Xiao Wu froze. "Wait, don't you dare pluck my feathers." Just as Fu Bao reached toward the bird, she spotted a plastic bag behind the seat. The ghost's face twisted. "You're not seriously putting me inside that poop bag, are you?" Fu Bao quickly waved her hands. "It's not dirty. I'll put a tissue inside first." The master said, "Soul transfer is as advanced as heaven's eye. Focus and chant." As she muttered the spell, the ghost was instantly absorbed into the bag. Curious, Fu Bao tried chanting again. Suddenly the ghost popped right back out. She said it backward, the master gasped. Unbelievable. Even reversed, the spell still works. Just then their car arrived at the construction site. As the door opened, the bag suddenly floated away on its own. Fubao's eyes went wide. Oh no. I forgot to take the ostrich poop out before letting the ugly auntie in. Meanwhile, Wei Wan and her mother were having morning tea at a dim sum shop. Her mother frowned at her gloomy face. Why the long face this early in the morning? Wei Wan sighed. Zilin wants a divorce, she admitted softly. He said I failed to raise Huan Huan properly. And I think he's already found out about that time we had someone drug Li Mei. Huan Huan's grandmother slammed the table and stood up, pulling her daughter along. So what if he knows? Li Mei's been missing for years. What can he possibly prove? Come on, we're going to the site to find him. The two women hurried toward the construction site. As soon as they arrived, Wei Wan noticed a plastic bag spinning wildly across the open ground. For some reason her heart skipped a beat. Then the bag suddenly stopped moving. A chill crept up her spine. She could swear that thing was staring at her. Out of nowhere, a gust of wind howled past. The plastic bag shot straight at her face and slapped her with a sharp thwack. A foul stench hit her nose. Something mushy, something like poop, was smeared across her cheek. Wei Wan gasped, lost her balance and fell to the ground. The bag clung to her face, sealing off her breath. Just as she thought she'd suffocate, a hand tore it away. Huan Wan's grandmother froze, her face pale with terror. Let's get out of here, now. Every hair on Wei Wan's body stood on end. She bolted from the site and didn't stop running until she reached Su Zilin's office. Zilin was studying blueprints when she burst through the door. She lunged toward him for comfort, but he frowned and stepped back instinctively. Wei Wan, having already thrown herself forward, missed and hit the floor hard. Wei Wan covered her nose, scrambling up from the floor in embarrassment. Su Zilin, what the hell is wrong with you? Huan Wan's grandmother quickly stepped in. Oh, come on Zilin, Xiaowan's your wife. What kind of husband dodges when his wife throws herself into his arms? Zilin frowned coldly. That kind of throwing yourself at me act. Save it. Humiliated, Wei Wan's face flushed deep red. She was just about to speak when her gaze fell on a sketch lying on the desk. She froze. Every hair on her body stood on end. That woman in the drawing, she knew her. Li Mei. The same woman she'd killed years ago. But how could Fu Bao possibly know what Li Mei looked like? The little girl sat upright on a chair, calmly glancing up at her. Master, Fu Bao whispered, what's wrong with my second aunt? Ji Chang shook his head. I know, saving her now. Didn't you see the bird poop on her face? Li Mei's spirit brushed her. The death aura is growing. Fu Bao blinked innocently. There's no poop. It just smells a little funny. Wei Wan's face twitched. Damn it, don't tell me that bag really had poop inside? Su Zilin said coldly, if you're done, you can leave. Don't disturb my team. Before the older woman could argue, two bodyguards stepped in and dragged them out. Wei Wan, tossed outside, was seething with frustration. That drawing wouldn't leave her mind. It wasn't just creepy. It was terrifying. How could Fu Bao know Li Mei? She told her mother to go home first, then slipped quietly to the back of the site. Moving past scaffolding and stacks of steel bars, she crept toward a bronze statue. After checking it over carefully and finding nothing unusual, she exhaled in relief. But before she could turn away, a soft voice whispered behind her, wait. It was cold, hollow, like something rising from beneath the ground. Her face turned ghostly white. She bolted, screaming silently as if her very soul had fled her body. Meanwhile, Fu Bao lay against the tea room's huge glass window, tilting her head as she watched the distant figure running across the open yard. Xiao Wu, she murmured, that lady looks kinda like my second aunt. Xiao Wu tilted its head just like Fu Bao, chirping 250. Its second aunt, not 250, Fu Bao corrected sternly. But, second aunt plus second aunt equals 250. That's wrong. Even if I miscalculated, 2 plus 2 can't equal 5, right? Fu Bao tapped the parrot's head. Xiao Wu, you really need math tutoring. Behind her, two young office ladies gasped. Aw, that's adorable. She's teaching a parrot math. Whose kid is this? I just came back from outside and there's suddenly a child in our office. One of them pointed toward the pantry. She must be Mr. Su's. Inside the pantry, Su Zilin was sweating bullets while mixing baby formula. Looking more like a scientist in a lab than a dad. He squinted at the measuring lines on the bottle, adding water with surgical precision. Suddenly, smack. A plastic bag slapped against the glass window. Fu Bao blinked. Ugly auntie, you came back. The ghost nearly cried. No humanity at all. You made me work under the sun. I'm about to evaporate. Ji Chong lounged lazily under the sunlight. Relaxed. As long as I'm around you won't die. The sun can't kill you. Fu Bao looked up seriously. Master, don't act cool. People who act cool get struck by lightning. Ji Chong snorted as if, boom. Out of nowhere, thunder cracked across the clear blue sky. A thin bolt slicing through the clouds. Ji Chong froze, heartbeat skipping. That was way too accurate. Must be a coincidence. Right? Just then Su Zilin walked over with the warm milk in hand and gave it to Fu Bao. She accepted it with a bright smile. Thank you, second uncle. Watching her drink, a wave of guilt crept into his chest. That he had 2 kids of his own, yet he'd barely spent time with them. He patted her head gently. Fu Bao, do you think I should divorce your second aunt? Fu Bao looked up at him, eyes wide and serious. Why do grown-ups get married then get divorced? You picked each other, didn't you? Why stop liking each other later? Su Zilin went silent. Then softly, back then your aunt was already pregnant with your cousin Zishi. That's why we got married. He gave a bitter smile. But later I found out, I'd been drugged that night. That I wasn't in my right mind when it happened. Fu Bao frowned, confused. Then how did Zishi get in second aunt's belly? Did you like her? Su Zilin shook his head with a wry smile. No, I didn't like her. Fu Bao frowned, puffing her cheeks in seriousness. Then you didn't like her, but she still had brother Zishi with you. Does that mean you're what people call a bad man? Zilin froze, speechless. The little girl patted his hand gently. It's okay, second uncle. Fu Bao understands. That he blinked. Wait, what exactly do you understand? Before he could explain, Su Inger, the 5th uncle, strolled in cheerfully. Hey Bao. Bored here? Come on, I'll take you to the construction site. Zilin immediately objected. No way, that it's dangerous. No visitors allowed. Inger waved him off. Visitors? Fu Bao's not a visitor. She's our junior project manager. Fu Bao nodded solemnly. That's right. Fu Bao's not lazy at all. And with that she trotted off hand in hand with her 5th uncle. When they reached the plaza, Fu Bao pointed at a massive sculpture. 5th uncle, what's that? I think second aunt was playing here earlier. Su Inger glanced over. Oh, that. A phoenix totem, your second uncle designed it. Ji Chang's voice drifted through the air beside her. There's something hidden inside that statue. Ask your uncle for a big hammer, we'll break it open. Fu Bao's eyes sparkled. 5th uncle, do you have a super big hammer? Can I see it? Su Inger puffed his chest proudly. Doi, I've got 4,000 hammers. No duplicates. The biggest tool collection in the whole country. Ji Chong, growing curious, floated closer. What are you 2 doing? Looking at hammers. Fu Bao answered without turning her head. Ji Chong pointed at her little backpack. Use that one. Smash the bronze statue. Su Inger chuckled as Fu Bao ran her tiny hands over a huge hammer. You like that one, huh? It's an industrial demolition hammer, real power tool. Fu Bao's eyes gleamed with excitement. 5th uncle, can I borrow it? I'll be super careful. Su Inger had completely forgotten about the time Fu Bao bent iron bars with her bare hands. His first thought was, there's no way she can lift that hammer. But the next second, Hia, the tiny girl shouted, swinging the hammer that was almost taller than she was. Boom! The heavy metal crashed against the statue, echoing through the plaza. Between each swing she huffed out, 80, 80. Let's do 100 more. A loud crack followed by a shower of dust. Su Inger froze, eyes wide in disbelief. As the haze settled, what appeared inside made his stomach drop. 2 severed skeletal hands. The bony fingers were curled as if still gripping something. In the center of that dead fist lay a small package wrapped in brown craft paper. Su Zilin rushed forward, scooping Fu Bao into his arms and covering her eyes. Second brother, Inger said tensely, take her back. Now that I don't want to go, Fu Bao started, but Zilin gently cut her off. Be good, Fu Bao. This isn't a place for children. Go home and play with grandma. Your uncles have some work to do. After she left, Ji Chong summoned the ghost out of the soul vessel, his tone icy. That hand, why was it inside the statue? The ghost's voice trembled with resentment. When I was crushed to death, my arm was severed. I never got to rebuild my body. Without that hand, I feared I couldn't reincarnate properly, so I've been wandering all these years. Ji Chong flipped through his little notebook, calm but sharp. Do you know, he asked, that the saltway one made you slip into Su Zilin's teeth? He paused, eyes narrowing. The ghost froze, realization dawning. Her lips twisted into a bitter smile. She must have wanted to get pregnant while the drug was still in effect. That way she could marry into the Su family without suspicion. Ji Chong let out a cold laugh. Good and evil always return to their source. You're suffering now because you sold your soul long ago. But don't worry, he added dryly. Once we lift Wei Wan's fingerprints off that paper wrap, her game's over. Meanwhile, in the living room, Fu Bao was happily munching on an apple, swinging her legs. Grandma Su chuckled warmly. Slow down, sweetheart, I'll get you some lotus egg custard from the kitchen. Thank you, Grandma, Fu Bao said sweetly. When Grandma left, the room grew quiet, just her and Xiao Wu. Fu Bao tilted her head mischievously and poked the parrot's beak with the apple core. Here, have a big fart snack. Xiao Wu flapped its wings, squawking, smells bad. Smells bad. Fu Bao burst into giggles. But the laughter stopped when a cold, sharp voice echoed from behind. A little girl talking about farts. How vulgar. What would people think if they heard that? Wei Wan had just returned home, her face was dark, her eyes filled with disgust. It's all because of this brat, she thought bitterly. Because of her, Zilin and I fell apart. The smile vanished from Fu Bao's face. She looked down and said softly, second aunt. Don't call me that. Wei Wan snapped. Our family's cursed enough without a kid like you. Her words stabbed like knives. Fu Bao froze, remembering what Grandma used to say. She's a jinx. A walking disaster. Whoever meets her will suffer. Fu Bao shook her head seriously. People get unlucky because their shadow goes crooked. It's not Fu Bao's fault. Every time Grandpa or Daddy got unlucky, their shadows were bent too. Wei Wan's anger flared, her face twisting with rage. Then it hit her. It was the 10th. The old lady and old man were still at the nursing home. A slow, cruel smile crept across her face. Perfect. She stepped closer, her tone honeyed but dangerous. Fu Bao. Come here. Fu Bao shook her head, terrified. Her second aunt's face was covered in a dark, lifeless aura. She grabbed Xiao Wu and bolted. Stop right there. Wei Wan shouted behind her, furious. Fu Bao yelled back without missing a step. Whoever stops is the real dummy. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Grandma Su carefully lifted the lotus egg custard off the steamer. Housemaid Aunt Wu tried to take it from her. Madam, please, let me handle that. Grandma smiled faintly. No, Fu Bao finally came home. I'll make it myself. The words had barely left her mouth when a tiny figure came running full speed into the kitchen. Grandma. Behind her came a shrill, eerie voice dragging out each syllable. Fu Bao. You can't run from me. The warmth in Grandma Su's eyes vanished. Wei Wan stepped through the doorway, only to meet Grandma's icy stare. You're here? Wei Wan stammered, forcing a nervous smile. Oh, surprised. Were you planning to bully her while I was gone? No. Fu Bao threw an apple core. I just tried to teach her some manners. She talked back and ran. I didn't talk back. Fu Bao blurted near tears. Grandma Su ripped off her oven mitts and flung them straight at Wei Wan's face. You think I'd believe that? You dare bully her right in front of me? Her tone snapped like thunder. Get out of my house. From this day on, the Su family has no daughter-in-law like you. Wei Wan's eyes burned red as she bit out. Fine. Keep spoiling her. One day she'll ruin you all. She spun on her heel, storming off, her thoughts boiling with venom. That brat knew the old woman was here. She provoked me on purpose. So young, and already manipulative. Grandma Su watched her leave, fury still simmering in her chest. What trash. You can't even raise your own child right, yet you dare to lecture Fu Bao. Grandma Su snapped. Fu Bao lifted her tiny hand and patted Grandma's palm gently. Don't be angry, Grandma. Just then, the sound of Henin's crying echoed through the mansion. Grandma Su told Fu Bao to finish her meal first and went off to check on Henin. At that moment, Wei Wan was pretending to comfort her daughter, trying to hide the panic rising in her chest. The moment she returned, Wei Wan's heart grew heavier. She feared that Grandma Su might really kick her out this time. So she whispered to Henin, go give Grandma a back rub, okay? Help her calm down. If Grandma really sends Mommy away, no one will love you anymore. Just then, Aunt Wu wheeled Grandma Su into Henin's room. Grandma's eyes were cold as she glanced at the girl. Maybe she was still angry, or maybe she was simply fed up with Henin's constant crying fits. Wu Ma, bring me a basin, she ordered. Let her cry all she wants, she's not stopping until that basin's full of tears. Henin trembled, too scared to make another sound. But Wei Wan rushed to defend her, snapping, what are you doing? You're scaring her. Startled again, Henin burst into tears. Grandma Su's expression hardened. Don't call me Mom. Get out. Without giving Wei Wan a chance to react, Grandma Su ordered the guards to throw her out. Wei Wan was stunned as the bodyguards dragged her out of the room. Once her mother was gone, Henin froze, her tears instantly drying up in terror. But Grandma Sue wasn't done. Aren't you the one who loves crying? She said coldly. Then keep crying. Don't stop until that basin's full. Her voice cut like a knife. You're stubborn. So am I. Let's see if I can't cure your crying habit today. The little girl clutched the basin, tears streaming down her cheeks like tiny pearls, splashing noisily as they hit the bottom. Between sobs, Henin whimpered, Grandma, I really can't fill a whole basin. I'm thirsty. I want some water. Aunt Wu tried not to laugh. Miss, have a sip first. Catch your breath. Grandma Sue snorted. Enough, Aunt Wu, don't spoil her. Let her think about what she's done. Henin's eyes turned red. She used to get everything she wanted just by crying. But now that her mother was gone, and Grandma wouldn't coddle her, she finally realized tears weren't magic after all. Just as she was feeling lost, a tiny figure toddled over. Fu Bao held out a lollipop with both hands. Here, sister, it's for you. Henin sniffled, turning away. I don't want your candy. Fu Bao blinked, tucked the candy back into her pocket and said cheerfully, okay, then I'll keep it. Then she tilted her head and asked curiously, but your basin isn't full yet. If you don't finish crying, Grandma might not let you eat dinner. Maybe you should cry a little more? Henin's lips quivered again, and before she knew it, the tears started pouring all over again. Henin sniffled between sobs. Then hold the basin steady for me. Don't let my tears fall on the floor. The two little girls started to panic, both sweating from the effort. Oh, Fu Bao muttered, I think I ran out of tears. Suddenly, Fu Bao grabbed a cup from the table. Here, sister. Drink more water. If your eyes have water, you can cry again. Henin obediently gulped down a full glass, then pumped her tiny fist. All right, let's do this. Just then, Su Yichen came home with his two sons, only to find one little girl crying and hiccuping while the other held a basin under her face, cheering, you can do it, sister. The three men froze in place, staring. What exactly are you two doing? Fu Bao turned around earnestly. Grandma said Sister Henin can't stop until the basin's full. We're working really hard. Henin looked up pitifully, eyes wet. Uncle, I really can't cry any. Can you please ask Grandma to give me a smaller basin? Or maybe just a cup? Su Hewen, the math whiz, adjusted his glasses. A full basin holds about 10 liters. If you cry once a day, that'll take around 2,000 days. Even without counting evaporation, that's 5 years of crying straight. What should I do now? I can't cry anymore, Henin whimpered. Fu Bao thought for a moment, muttering softly, don't worry, sister, we can try again tomorrow. Crying for 5 years doesn't sound that long anyway. Su Hoen and Su Hoen's brother just stared at them speechlessly. Both little girls were hopelessly adorable and just a little dumb. Meanwhile, Wei Wan showed up at her mother's house, dragging her suitcase with a disheveled look. Henin's grandmother blinked in surprise. What's going on with you? Wei Wan poured out her story, telling her how old Madame Su had kicked her out of the house. The older woman slammed her hand on the table in outrage. That old witch, meddling in her son and daughter-in-law's affairs. What a troublemaker. After venting her anger, Wei Wan slowly calmed down. But now Zilin wants a divorce. If I really get kicked out, all these years of effort will mean nothing. She sighed. Maybe I should go back and beg him. For the sake of the child, I'll swallow my pride. Her mother's eyes flared. Beg him. You've been too soft, that's why they walk all over you. This time you wait, let them come begging you. Wei Wan hesitated. Beg me? That's impossible. Impossible, her mother snorted. Once Henin's gone, that house will be chaos. Just wait, they'll come crawling back within 2 days. Though still uncertain, Wei Wan couldn't help thinking her mother's words made sense. For the first time that day, she felt a bit calmer. That night, without her mother around, Henin's eyes grew red again. But the moment she remembered the tear basin she could never fill, she didn't dare cry anymore. Aunt Wu felt bad for her and whispered, Miss, get some sleep. Everything will feel better in the morning. Suddenly, Henin spun around, grabbed a pillow and threw it at her. You're not my mom. I don't need you. Get out. Aunt Wu froze, sighed softly and left the room. Just outside the door stood Grandma Su. Beside her was little Fu Bao in her pajamas. Grandma asked, is Henin still throwing a fit? Aunt Wu replied quickly, much better, madam. Please don't be angry, she's just a child. Grandma Su snorted, that's exactly why she needs to be taught now. That if you don't correct her young, she'll never learn when she's grown. Meanwhile, Fu Bao peeked through the door crack, her tiny head popping in. Sister Henin, aren't you scared being alone? There are ghosts at night, you know. Want me to stay with you? Henin's eyes went wide with fear. You can't say stuff like that. You're a bad kid. Go away. Thud. Her teddy bear hit the door with a loud bang. Fubao blinked innocently. But it's true. There really are ghosts. Grandma Su sighed, patting Fubao's head. All right, sweetheart, go back to bed. Don't mind her. Fubao nodded and padded back to her room, climbing onto the bed. Just then her master Ji Chong floated out of thin air with a mischievous grin. Hey little backpack. Want me to teach you a new spell? You know, the kind that goes whoosh and shoots out a fireball. Fubao looked at him with doubt written all over her face. Master, I'm not 3 anymore. I know things. There's no way a person can actually throw a fireball. Seeing she didn't believe him, Ji Chong chuckled. Opening the third eye, that's another story. Some are born with it open, gifted from birth. But real spell casting, that's different. You need theory and practice. Some Taoists spend their entire lives and can't even spark a flame. They end up using blessing charms just to light a candle. So yeah, it's normal you don't believe it. Ji Chong squinted and sighed dramatically. Well, little backpack, I guess you're just not cut out for it. Fubao instantly saw through him. Humph, master's trying to provoke me again. I'm not falling for that. Ji Chong froze in disbelief. She's 4 years old. How is she this hard to manipulate? He thought, completely speechless. Then Fubao pouted. You talk too much. Why don't you just make a fireball already? If you do it, I'll believe you. Ji Chong twitched at the corner of his mouth, trying to keep his cool. Hey, your master's powerful, sure, but I'm a ghost right now, remember? Fubao's eyes sparkled with mischief. Oh, so that means master can't do it either? Ji Chong face-palmed. What kind of way is that to talk? Can't do it? I'm just worried about scaring you. What if the fireball's too strong and burns off all your hair? You'd be a shiny little bald head. Seeing she was about to ask more questions, he hurriedly waved his hands. All right. Kids talk too much. I'll chant it once. Follow if you want to learn, or don't if you don't care. He muttered a string of nonsense incantations, then looked smug. Got it. Fubao groaned, covering her face. Master, could you maybe say it a little slower next time? Meanwhile, over in another room, Henin, who had never spent a night without her mother, was clutching her blanket, quietly crying herself to sleep. As she wiped her tears, she suddenly thought of the basin from earlier and tried to collect her tears in a cup. Just then, a faint white shadow drifted past the window. Henin froze, terrified, and turned to look. Henin wiped her tears, her voice trembling. Was that a ghost? Before she could move, a pale white figure appeared right in front of her. Its hand raised, lunging straight toward her. Henin screamed in terror. Just then, the door burst open and Fubao's voice cut through the air, though Henin couldn't even hear what she was saying. Whoosh! A fireball shot out from Fubao's hand, slamming right into the ghostly shape. A piercing shriek echoed through the room as the white shadow fled into the hallway. Ji Cheng's calm voice echoed beside Fubao. That was an evil spirit. He explained, ghosts have ranks. The wandering ones who just drift around and can't touch anything are called lost souls. Those who die with hatred or vengeance become vengeful spirits. And above them are evil spirits, the most violent kind of all. Each evil spirit carries a powerful obsession, born from human emotions. Love, anger, greed, fear, sorrow. Some even get nicknames like crying ghost, coward ghost, or jealous ghost. Fubao blinked and nodded as understanding dawned. So, because Sister Henin cries too much, she called over a crying ghost? Ji Chong gave Fubao an approving nod. People who cry too much, he said, tend to attract crying ghosts. Henin's mind went completely blank. She was trembling all over, still terrified. Slowly, she stood up and shuffled toward Fubao. Then, wham! She threw herself into Fubao's arms and burst out crying again. It's okay, Sister Henin, don't be scared. Fubao patted her back. The ghost's gone now. Suddenly, Fubao gasped as if remembering something. Wait, don't cry yet. I'll get your cup. Those tears are precious, we can't waste them. Henin sniffled, trying to hold her tears. Oh, but hurry. Fubao dashed off, her little feet pattering, and came back holding a cup. But by the time she handed it over, only 2 tiny drops fell in. The 2 little girls looked at each other, puzzled. Maybe you should cry a bit harder, Fubao suggested. Henin puffed her cheeks, then started bawling again with all her might. Eventually, Fubao grew sleepy and climbed onto the bed. Let's lie down and cry, okay? She mumbled through a yawn. It's less tiring and maybe we'll get more tears that way. Ji Chong, floating beside them, could only twitch at the mouth and sigh. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The next morning, Grandma Su rolled her electric wheelchair down the hall and knocked softly on Fubao's door. Fubao, are you up yet? Grandpa's waiting for you to paint with him. She gently pushed the door open, only to freeze. The room was empty. Her face went pale. Someone, come quickly, Fubao's gone. On the windowsill, little Wu snapped awake, stretching his neck and flapping his wings. Kidnapper. Someone stole the kid. Got. Hearing the commotion, Su Yichen rushed over. What happened? Meanwhile, Fubao was happily picking strawberries in the fields with Grandma. But little Wu chirped nervously, there's a ghost over there. I saw a little ghost. When Fubao went to check, she found a small boy lying on the ground, completely unconscious. Ji Chong hovered nearby, explaining calmly, that boy's missing one of his 3 souls and 7 spirits. A classic case. I'll teach you how to bring it back. The main soul and life soul stay inside the body, but the other 2 drift outside. They're the easiest to lose. Before summoning the soul, you light an incense stick, prepare a bowl of water, then burn one piece of the person's clothing over the flames. Ji Chong began to chant a long, ancient soul-summoning spell. When he finished, he passed the chant to Fubao and asked, well, got it memorized, little backpack? Fubao nodded seriously and repeated in her sing-song voice, the big turtle on the right has a really big tummy, saw Binang kills chicken bro and farts and poops so funny. Ji Chong froze. The words were completely wrong, yet somehow the ritual still worked. The boy's soul shimmered faintly in the air. He stared, speechless. This kid's a prodigy. Even nonsense works for her. Fubao tilted her head, confused. But master, who saw Binang? Why'd he kill chicken bro? And why is there farting and pooping? Nearby, Grandma grew pale with worry. Oh no. After all she's been through, could she be talking to an imaginary friend? Meanwhile, at the roadside, Schwer's mom noticed a child in Sujia's arms. Who's that boy? She asked her husband. Schwer's dad sighed. He's from the Su family. Look at the letters on his clothes. It's obvious. The Su family just hasn't realized who he is yet. Schwer's mom's eyes lit up with excitement. Wait, you mean that missing boy from the Su family? The one who got kidnapped and vanished for months. Su family's been turning the city upside down looking for him. If we tell them we found their little prince. Her husband cut her off sharply. Are you out of your mind? You'd be stealing credit from the Su family. That's a fast way to offend both the Sus and the Sis. You think they're stupid? Hearing that, Schwer's mom grew anxious. The chance to curry favor with the Su family was slipping away. Then what should we do? She asked. Schwer's dad thought for a moment, then smirked. I've got it. The Su family released a public contact number for the search. We'll just call pretending to be from the Su family, say we found the boy first. He dialed immediately, putting on a panicked tone. Hello, is this Mr. C? This is Lon Jinyu. Yes. Su family's little miss just found your young master. President Su told me to inform you right away. Meanwhile, inside the Su family's tent, Ji Chong was still teaching little Fubao how to summon souls. The soul is yang, the spirit is yin. He explained that a person has 3 souls. Main soul, severed soul, and life soul. The main and life souls live inside the body. The others drift outside and can easily get lost. This boy's missing one of them. His body's fine, but his mind's somewhere else. Master, Fubao blinked curiously. If souls are so easy to lose, why not just tie the other 2 to your body? Ji Chong choked on his own words and waved his hand. Too many questions for a kid that you'll understand when you're older. Fearing another barrage of whys, he quickly changed the topic. Anyway, before calling a soul back, you light an incense stick, prepare a small fire, burn the person's clothes, and then recite the summoning chant. Ji Chong took a deep breath and started chanting solemnly, Yo bien leg xiao wugui, yong na o yu de tai wei, sha baiming sha wuji di la, shir la shir sha baiming sha wuji. By the end of it, he was nearly out of breath. Got it memorized? He asked. Fubao nodded earnestly. Yup. Good. Ji Chong smiled proudly. A true prodigy born once in a century. Now repeat it back to me. Fubao raised her little chin and began, the little turtle on the right has a really big tummy, saw Binang kills chicken bro, poop poop la, saw Binang kills chicken bro again. Ji Chong froze. What the hell was that? But before he could scold her, the air around them began to stir, faint ripples of energy flickering in the firelight. His jaw dropped. It actually worked. Meanwhile, Fubao frowned, deep in thought. Master, who saw Binang? Why'd he kill chicken bro? And why'd he poop twice? Ji Chang's eye twitched. Kid, if I knew that, I'd have ascended already. Madame Su listened as Fubao mumbled softly to herself. Her expression tightened with worry. Fubao, sweetheart, she asked gently, who are you talking to? You can tell Grandma. Fubao answered innocently, I'm talking to my master. Madame Su froze. Her heart sank. She feared the little girl might have developed a split personality after all the trauma she'd suffered as a child. Just then Ji Chang's calm voice echoed beside Fu Bao. Didn't I tell you? You must never speak of your master to others. Fu Bao looked conflicted. But grandma and others. Watching her granddaughter talk to thin air, Madame Sue's chest tightened with grief. She pulled the girl into her arms, tears rolling down her cheeks. Why, poor little Fu Bao. You've suffered so much already. Stroking her back, she whispered, don't be afraid that you've got grandma, grandpa, and all your uncles now. That everything's going to be okay. Fu Bao blinked in confusion. Why is grandma crying? I didn't even do anything wrong. Meanwhile, the head of the Si family arrived to take young Si Yiran home, unaware that the boy had nearly lost his life. Shuer's parents stood eagerly by the roadside, pretending they'd helped in the rescue, smiling as if expecting praise. But the Si family didn't even glance at them. Without a word, they headed straight for the Su family's tent. The couple's smiles froze. Embarrassment spread across their faces. Why won't they even look at us? A tall man with a commanding presence and a cold, stoic face approached the Su family's tent. The air around him felt heavy, almost military. Fu Bao stared curiously at him, her big round eyes blinking. Master, she whispered, why does that uncle have yellow light all over him? It's so bright, it almost blinds my tiny eyes. Ji Chang chuckled softly. That's the glow of virtue. Some men serve their country and people so greatly that heaven marks them with golden light. When their life ends, it shines as their completed karma. Fu Bao nodded seriously, then tilted her head. But why is there some black stuff mixed in with the gold? Is that bad? That's death aura. Ji Chang replied that he's killed before. Evil men, not innocents. The black aura can't touch him because the golden virtue keeps it away. Fu Bao's eyes sparkled in sudden understanding. Oh, so he's a good guy who beats up bad guys. By now, the middle-aged man had reached her. Fu Bao beamed and waved. Hello, uncle. Si Yi froze for a split second. Most kids cried at the sight of his grim face, but this little girl, this little sunshine actually smiled at him. For the first time in a long while, his expression softened ever so slightly. Si Yi snapped out of his thoughts. Hello there. You must be Fu Bao, the one who carried Iran back, right? Fu Bao nodded with a soft little hum. The tiny girl was so adorably serious that even Si Ye's stern features eased a little. Thank you, he said quietly. Once Iran wakes up, I'll bring him to thank you in person. Behind him, a few men in black carefully lifted the unconscious Boy. Yi gave Su Yichin a polite nod and turned to leave. But Fu Bao suddenly called out, her voice urgent. Uncle, that big brother's sickness isn't normal. If he doesn't wake up, promise you'll come find Fu Bao, okay? Si Yi merely nodded out of courtesy. He clearly didn't take it seriously, that he just wanted to get the child to safety. The Su family had planned to let Fu Bao enjoy a bit more camping time at the wetlands. But after what happened, Madame Sue's heart was pounding with unease. If even a powerful family like the Seas could be targeted, it was safer to head home. The next day, on the top floor of a private hospital, Si Yi stood outside the emergency room, rigid, silent, composed as steel. A woman paced anxiously before the door. It was Iran's mother. When Ruyun Yi spoke in his calm, clipped tone, don't worry, he'll make it. But when Ruyun, true to her fiery nature, shot back sharply, that's my son in there. How do you expect me not to worry? Just then, the operating room doors swung open. The doctor stepped out, face grim. Mr. C, Mrs. C, we've done everything we could. I'm afraid you need to prepare yourselves. When Ruyun's knees buckled and Si caught her before she could fall, pulling her into his arms. When the boy was brought in, the doctor continued, we ran every possible test, but found no cause. His breathing keeps weakening and his body is wasting away. Since last night he's lost 10 pounds. 10? It's unheard of. Forgive me for being blunt, but continuing treatment will only prolong his suffering. You should consider taking him home. Tears streamed down when Ryun's face as she choked out, Doctor, there must be something you can do? The doctor lowered his head. I'm sorry, there really isn't. Please, be strong. Suddenly, an elderly woman's furious voice echoed down the hall. I knew it. I said from the start you doctors were useless. It was the Si family matriarch, known for her deep superstition. I've already called for a great master, she announced. His divine arts can save Iran. Si Ye's brows drew together. His mother had brought home countless so-called masters before, all of them frauds. Seeing his skeptical look, the old lady slammed her cane. Don't you dare roll your eyes at me. This time is different. This is Master Yun. Do you even know who that is? People beg to see him and he refuses them all. He's already ascended to immortality. You understand nothing. See, turn the old woman down flat. That won't be necessary. But in that instant, a voice echoed in his mind. Uncle, that big brother's sickness isn't normal. If he doesn't wake up, you have to come find Fu Bao. The memory of the child's clear, earnest tone made his chest tighten. He took a deep breath. Decision made. We're taking Iran to the Su family, he told his wife. What? The old lady's voice trembled with fury. That you're going to see a little girl? What could a child possibly know? If anything happens to Iran, I swear I won't live either. Siye's expression was firm, his voice unshakable. Mom, Iran was saved by Fu Bao once. I trust her. Without another word, he lifted the boy into his arms and strode away. Fine. Go ahead. The matriarch shouted after him, trembling with rage. You don't believe Master Yun, but you'll believe some brat. You'll be the death of him. Desperate, she summoned a white-haired Taoist priest dressed in a yellow robe. Master Yun, she pleaded, please. Will you come to the Su residence with me? The old man clasped his hands behind his back, chin raised. Humph, that I rarely meddle in mortal affairs. Accompanying you today is already a great concession. Yes, I know. The old lady said quickly. It's all my son's fault. He actually wants to seek help from a little girl. She recounted everything Siyi had said word for word. Master Yun stroked his beard with a faint, disdainful smile. A child dares to claim mastery over spiritual arts. Very well, I'll go. Let's see which impudent brat dares to speak nonsense in front of me. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the old matriarch bowed repeatedly before hurrying off with Master Yun toward the Su estate. Meanwhile, Fu Bao tugged at her grandmother's sleeve. Grandma, did that little brother wake up yet? Madame Su sighed. I don't know, dear. Ever since they left, there's been no word. Su Luo adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses, a teasing smile curling on his lips. Well, this little one sure worries a lot, huh? Our Su family just found its precious baby girl, and already some brats trying to steal her heart. He lightly tapped Fu Bao's forehead. Remember, saving a life builds more merit than 7 temples combined, got it? Fu Bao tilted her head, studying her handsome uncle. Why does he look so nice but smile like a villain? Su Luo burst out laughing. Oh, you can already tell who's the bad guy. Smart girl. Just then Ji Chong, the ghostly master, chimed in. Fu Bao, if you really want to know whether that boy's okay, why not learn fortune-telling from me? Once you master it, you can divine the answer yourself. Fu Bao blinked at him, curious but confused. Ji Chong sat cross-legged on the floor, all serious and sagely. You still remember what I taught you yesterday about the mystic martial arts, right? Fu Bao puffed up proudly. Of course I do. He gave her a skeptical side eye. Yeah, sure. Who remembers my foot? All right then, he continued patiently. Divination, or Bu, is one of the 4 mystic arts that we use the 6 lines of hexagrams to predict fortune or disaster. Today I'll teach you shell reading, turtle shell divination. If you don't have a shell, anything similar will do. Fu Bao's eyes sparkled. I have a turtle shell, she said excitedly. Ji Chong froze, his face twitching. Wait, what? Kid, it's supposed to be a turtle shell, not an actual living turtle. What kind of chaos am I teaching here? Fu Bao tugged Ji Chong by the sleeve and ran toward the rock garden pond. Master, look, there's a grandpa turtle here. Before he could stop her, the little girl scooped up the old turtle with both hands and tossed it straight onto the grass. The poor thing rolled a few times, its shell scraping against the ground before it finally stopped, wobbling slightly. Fu Bao crouched down, eyes sparkling. Grandpa Turtle, please tell Fu Bao how the little brother's doing. Ji Chong sighed inwardly. Oh boy, here we go again. He watched as the girl sat properly with her hands on her knees, chin resting on her tiny fists, staring intently at the turtle. Hum. She muttered like she was receiving divine messages. Ji Chang's mouth twitched. What kind of ritual is that supposed to be? Then Fu Bao announced solemnly, the little brother isn't dead, he's on his way here. But there's an old liar near him that he's gonna suffer. Maybe even die. Just then the turtle wriggled, bit down on a blade of grass and flipped itself over. Fu Bao gasped at a twist. There's a twist. Ji Chong nearly fainted. That's not a twist, kid. That's just flipping over. At that very moment, the sound of an engine came from outside the Su estate. Fu Bao jumped up, dusting off her little skirt. Master, the little brother's here. Ji Chong frowned, absently pinching his fingers to divine, then froze, eyes wide. She was right. At that moment, Madame Su's voice floated from inside. Wu, go fetch Fu Bao quickly, she called. Fu Bao sprinted over. Grandma, I'm coming. she cried, then looked up at Siyi with wide eyes. Uncle, how's the big brother? She asked. The instant when Ryun saw Fubao, she seemed to clutch at a lifeline. Iran is slipping away. Please Fubao, save him, she begged. Iran lay motionless in Siye's arms. Leading the way, Fubao hustled everyone toward the room and asked on the run, Auntie, did you bring his clothes? When Ryun suddenly remembered there was a thin, flammable shirt in the car and dashed to fetch it. Fubao directed her grandmother to grab an iron basin and some joss paper. She intended to perform a ritual to save the boy. Wu, overhearing, said, those things are in the storeroom. I'll get them right away. Earlier, when the little boy had been brought before the girl, she had noticed a faint wisp of incense rising above his head. She asked Ji Chong about it. He explained, that's an ashen incense. The kind that appears above someone approaching death. When that stick burns out, the person follows. Ji Chang's brow tightened. People at death's door don't usually show that incense so soon. It's a terrible sign. Could the boy really be beyond saving? He wondered aloud. Fubao didn't fully grasp the meaning of ash incense. Only the line Ji Chong had said, when the incense finishes, the person dies. She grew frantic and was about to start the ritual. But a breathless, furious voice cut through the doorway. Madame C stormed in, shouting, stop this at once. You little fraud, how dare you play with my grandson's life? I'll beat you. With that she raised her cane and swung it toward Fubao. The whole scene happened too fast. No one had time to react. No one expected the old lady to actually swing her cane. It struck Fubao's little hand with a sharp crack, leaving a red welt. Su Yichen's face darkened instantly. I let you in because your grandson's here, he said icily. Not so you could raise a hand against a child. Madame C, who prided herself on seniority and decorum, turned livid at being scolded by a younger man. As if I even wanted to step foot in your Su family's house, she snapped. Then she glared at her son. You bring Iran. We're leaving. But C's tone was cold as stone. If you want to leave, leave by yourself. Just then the self-proclaimed Master Yun strode in, his expression deep and mysterious. It's too late, he declared dramatically. Fubao, nearly in tears, looked at the boy lying motionless on the floor. Uncle, if we don't save him now, it'll be too late, she cried. Master Yun frowned at the little girl. This brat's stealing my line. I said it's too late, now she's saying it too? He snorted inwardly. What a shameless little trickster. The moment Madame C heard the words too late, she panicked, clutching her prayer beads. Master Yun, please, please save my grandson. Gone was her earlier pride. She was now trembling with desperation. The old man sighed, feigning solemn compassion. Very well, he said, stroking his beard, for your pitiful heart I shall intervene. He turned to his disciple, Chongfeng. Prepare the altar. Understood, master, the young man replied, immediately arranging the ritual table. Madame C was nearly in tears of gratitude. Her grandson was finally going to be saved. Master Yun raised a peachwood sword and began chanting, his voice echoing through the room. Summon divine soldiers. Purge all evil. Raise the flag of thunder. 5 lightning generals. Fire carriage marshal. Rise and descend, by the decree of the heavens. Suddenly the bronze gong in the disciples' hands rang out, clang clang. After all the commotion, Fubao checked Iran again and saw the incense above his head was down to 1/3. Tears welling, she shouted at Master Yun, you're a fraud, you aren't doing any real ritual. The turtle grandpa's warning. This was the trial he meant. Master Yun's expression went cold. Such disrespectful talk is unbecoming, he snapped. I already set the rites in motion. In 5 minutes, the young master will wake. He hugged his peachwood sword to his chest, striking that self-important, otherworldly pose. Fubao's eyes brimmed with tears. He won't wake. Your ritual does nothing, she choked out. Madame C shoved herself between Fubao and the master, scolding, you child, what do you know? Don't interfere with Master Yun. When Ryun lost control and shoved past her mother-in-law, he's my son. His fate is mine to decide, she cried. Madame C erupted in fury. How dare you? As a daughter-in-law you have no right to speak to your mother-in-law that way. Su Yichin glanced at a clock and asked Master Yun flatly. Weren't you the one who said 5 minutes and he'd wake? Si stared icily at the master and warned, either step aside and cool off, or I'll finish this myself. Master Yun's face went hard. He snorted, since I reached the way, no one's ever spoken to me like that. You actually trust a little child's words. Ridiculous. Lady C wept in despair and begged, how can you treat a living sage like this? You're trying to kill Iran, kill my grandson. Si ignored his mother's cries and turned to Fubao, his tone firm. Fubao, is it still possible to save him? Uncle believes in you. Everything was ready. Fubao gently tossed Iran's shirt into the metal basin and sat cross-legged on the floor. Her little face was serious, lips moving as she chanted, right-side turtle, such a big belly, Sa Binang kills the chicken, kills the chicken. Ji Chong frowned hard. What kind of nonsense is that? Kill the chicken? Does she think this is a game? Master Yun's expression turned stern. Ridiculous. A child pretending to know the way. This is blasphemy. His disciple Chong Feng snorted. Yeah, if that kid can actually bring young Master C back, I'll stand on my head and eat 10 pounds of... Whoosh. Before he could finish, the shirt in the fire suddenly shot upright. The room froze. Chong Feng's words died in his throat. The flames in the basin burned eerie green. The sleeves of Iran's shirt lifted slowly as though guided by an unseen hand. Only Fubao smiled, waving softly at the shirt. Come on, big brother, she said sweetly, time to come home. The shirt drifted back down, and on the floor Iran's fingers twitched ever so slightly. Everyone held their breath. When Ruyun stood trembling, eyes wide, terrified this miracle might vanish if she blinked. Master Yun's proud composure shattered. Staring in disbelief, he muttered, the young master. He just moved. That's impossible. Chong Feng's face went pale. He wished he could crawl into a hole. No way. That kid actually brought Si Iran back? With both the Su and Si families involved, if they took his words seriously, he might really have to eat those 10 pounds of, well, you know. Just moments ago, Fubao had performed her master's soul-calling ritual, but the boy hadn't stirred. Master Yun's disciple let out a sigh of relief and sneered, see. I told you, believing a kid. What a joke. Now they've wasted precious time. Master Yun straightened his face, putting on his usual sage-like act. Silence. The dead deserve reverence, watch your tongue. Madame C burst into tears, wailing, it's all your fault. You killed my grandson. Give him back to me. Give me my grandson's life. Ce barked sharply, enough. Be silent. His mother froze, then howled even louder, you dare yell at your own mother. My life is so bitter. My grandson's gone and my son's unfilial. Master Yun stood by, secretly pleased amidst the chaos. Yes, that's more like it. Serves them right for doubting me. That if the boy they thought I couldn't save gets revived by that brat, where would I put my face? Suddenly, a weak but distinct voice came from the bed. So noisy. The arrogance on Master Yun's face froze. He turned stiffly toward the sound, eyes wide with disbelief. Siren pushed himself up, still weak but alive. Fubao's eyes sparkled as she shouted, Big brother. You're alive. She looked amazed, thinking, wow, Master really is awesome. So not everything he taught me is the kind of thing that gets people arrested. Iran turned to her, his voice faint. Who are you? I'm Fubao, she said brightly. Iran nodded slightly, remembering her name. When Ruyun trembled as she reached to touch her son's face, afraid it was only an illusion. Ying, she cried, then turned to Fubao in tears. Thank you, Fubao. Madame C finally recovered from her shock. Truly my grandson, blessed and born under lucky stars. A Su family member scoffed, if it weren't for that kid Fubao, none of this would have happened. Now they call it good fortune? Ce noticed Su Yichen's cold expression and spoke quietly. I apologize for the disturbance. I'll deal with the family matters once we're home. He'd spent years on the front lines. Never expected his own mother would behave so irrationally. Shame burned in his chest. Then he turned to Fubao, gently patting her head. Thank you, Fubao. Old Master Su, hoping to ease the tension, smiled. Let's all go camping tomorrow. A little fresh air will do us good. Fubao blinked. Camping? What's that? The old man chuckled. It means going out to nature. Sleeping outside for fun. Fubao tilted her head. But, we already have a house. Why sleep outside? Suzy, she snorted, rolling her eyes. What a country bumpkin. The old man's face darkened. Watch your mouth. Come here. Suzy, she stuck out her tongue and whispered, oh, the emperor's angry. Run. The old man sighed helplessly. These kids. Both families troublemakers, every single one. Meanwhile, across town, Schwer's mom, who'd been keeping an eye on academician Lau's social feed, noticed he'd just posted. Not only did he feature Fubao's words but also little Henin's. What the heck? She muttered, rolling her eyes. The Su family's unbelievable. Throwing money to boost Fubao wasn't enough. Now they're dragging Henin in too. So desperate. She fumed. That spotlight should have been my Schwer's. Schwer, sitting quietly beside her, asked softly, Mom, is it because I said bad things about Fubao that day? The girl still felt guilty about lying and being exposed in front of everyone. Her mother sighed, stroking her hair. Don't overthink it, sweetie, that it's not your fault. Seeing her still sulking, she smiled. Tomorrow's the weekend. Skip your classes. Dad and I will take you camping. Let's clear your head a bit. At the word camping, Schwer's eyes lit up again, her face bright with excitement. The next day, old Madame Sue looked around at her family laughing together and couldn't help but sigh that if Fubao hadn't come home, maybe our family would have never been this whole again. Just then Fubao ran up, holding a tiny flower in her hand. It's a wishing flower, she said with a bright grin. Not far away, Su Inger and Su Zilin were struggling with the tent poles. The pegs went halfway into the ground, then refused to budge. Su Inger scratched his head. Where's my hammer? Moments later, Fubao came running over with a full toolbox. Fifth uncle, the hammer's here. Su Zilin stared in disbelief. Who brings an entire toolbox to go camping? You're seriously the first, kid. Fubao's eyes sparkled as she stared at the whole row of hammers. Pretty cool, huh? Fifth uncle Su Inger grinned. Aren't my hammers all super awesome? Fubao nodded eagerly. Super awesome. He laughed even louder. Do you like them? Fubao puffed out her tiny cheeks, mimicking him. Super like. From a short distance away, Su Ichen rubbed his temples. Great, my adorable little niece, sweet, cute and innocent, is now obsessed with hammers. Perfect. Fubao turned and asked second uncle, where should I hammer? Fubao can help. The quiet, serious Su Zilin pointed at the ground peg. Here, that we need to drive this one in. The little bun raised her small hammer and started pounding with a rhythmic thunk, thunk, thunk. Soon all 4 tent pegs were perfectly secured. Just then a car rolled up near the campsite. Stepping out, Schwer's dad spotted Su Ichen and hurried over with a smile. Director Du, what a coincidence, you're here too? Schwer's mom's eyes lit up. What a perfect chance to get close to the Su family. She turned to her daughter. We'll camp right here. Schwer looked up with her sweetest face. I want to play with Fubao too. But Su Ichen's voice turned cold. We've got a full group. No space left. The message was clear. Don't join us. Schwer's dad laughed awkwardly, glancing at a nearby patch of grass. No problem, we'll set up over there. Still close by. Pretending not to notice the tension, Schwer skipped up to Fubao. Hey, what are you playing with? Come on, I'll take you to play with Brother Wen. Fubao stared at her fake smile, thinking, she looks just like a stepmom pretending to be nice. She pouted. I don't want to play with you, then grabbed her toolbox and ran off without another word. Schwer froze, her face tightening. I didn't even blame Fubao for stealing my spot. How could she treat me like this? Then an idea flashed in her mind. Henin doesn't like Fubao either. I'll team up with her and make Fubao feel left out. Let's see how she likes that. But Henin just looked at her with open disdain. Why would I play with you? Who do you think you are? Then she turned and ran straight toward Fubao. Left standing alone, Schwer trudged down to the riverbank, rubbing her eyes. Brother Wen, she whimpered, I don't know what I did wrong. Fubao and Henin won't even play with me. Su Hewen frowned, clearly annoyed. Then go cry somewhere else. Don't bother me. He stood up and walked off, straight in Fubao's direction. Schwer bit her lip, her eyes burning. Why does everyone go to her? Why won't anyone play with me? Just then a voice called from behind. Hey little girl. Come here. It was Wei Wan. She smiled gently, motioning her over. Auntie just had a fight with Grandma Su, she said softly. Can you help Auntie with something? Go bring Henin over, but quietly, okay? Schwer remembered what her mom had told her at Fubao's birthday party. Be nice to Aunt Wei Wan. So she nodded quickly. She ran to Henin, leaned close and whispered a few words. Henin frowned, glanced toward the woods and saw her mother peeking out, waving. Her eyes instantly welled up. She ran toward her and threw herself into her arms. Mom. Wei Wan's eyes turned. Why, poor baby. You must have missed me so much, huh? Only 2 days, but it feels forever. She stroked her daughter's hair. Have you been eating well? Sleeping okay? Henin shook her head. Grandpa and Grandma said I have to eat on time. If I miss it, no dinner. Wei Wan's expression darkened, pulling Henin closer. They're too cruel. Come on, Henin. Mommy's taking you to Grandma's house. Let's go home. Henin hesitated, glancing back at her mom. I don't want to go. I want to play here. Wei Wan froze. She used to cling to me every second, and now she doesn't even want to leave? Her face darkened. After everything they did to her, she still doesn't want to come with me? Putting on a pitiful look, Wei Wan's voice softened. Don't you want mommy anymore? For most kids, that line hits like a dagger. But Henin pulled her hand away. pouting that I want to stay here. Just then, the commotion drew everyone from the Su family over. Su Zilin's face turned cold as he barked. Wei Wan, that's enough. Caught red-handed, Wei Wan straightened her back and snapped, What? I'm her mother. Don't I have the right to see my own child? She grabbed Henin's hand tighter. You want to play here? Fine. Mommy will play with you. Henin tried to pull away, panic flashing in her eyes. No. I want to play with Fu Bao. Wei Wan's smile vanished, anger twisting her face. That little Fu Bao, always ruining everything the moment she shows up. Leaning closer, she hissed, Fu Bao's a scheming kid, you know that. She's the reason your dad and I can't get along, and your grandparents, refusing to feed you. That's abuse. Remember this, Henin. Only mommy truly loves you. When you grow up, don't trust anyone else. Be good only to mommy, understand? Wei Wan's furious voice made Henin burst into terrified sobs. Her tiny arms were being pulled in two directions. One by her mother, one by her father. Seeing this, Su Zilin lunged forward and grabbed his daughter, trying to pull her free. Henin screamed louder, feeling like she was being torn apart. Let go, you're hurting her. Wei Wan shouted, but her grip only tightened. Then Su Zilin suddenly released her hand, terrified he'd really injure the child. At that moment his phone rang. He glanced at the number, his face stiffening. He picked up. This is Su Zilin speaking. No one could hear what the person on the other end was saying. A chill ran through Wei Wan's chest. Something's wrong. Su Zilin's eyes went ice cold as he said flatly into the phone, you can come now. Fu Bao frowned, watching closely. In her eyes, a dark, heavy aura was now curling around her second aunt's body. Ji Chong murmured beside her, so you can see it too. Impressive. Today shouldn't be her death day, yet the curse is unraveling on its own. Fu Bao blinked. Unraveling? What does that mean, master? Before he could answer, Wei Wan suddenly turned, eyes wild. They're coming for me. Then you'll all regret this. Fu Bao shouted, Grandma, watch out. Second aunt's trying to take Sister Henin. Wei Wan's face twisted in shock. How did this little brat see through me? She grabbed Henin into her arms and bolted toward the lake. Grandma Su's heart dropped. Stop her. Don't let her get near the water. But the Su brothers were faster. They'd already guessed her plan and blocked her way. Wei Wan's face twisted with desperation. She clutched Henin by the neck and screamed, Don't come any closer. The thing from 6 years ago. It's over. Why won't you people let me go? I just wanted to be the second Mrs. Su. What did I do wrong? Just then, a black sedan came speeding down the road, headlights glaring. In a split second of madness, Wei Wan tightened her grip and bolted toward the oncoming car with Henin in her arms. Everyone gasped. She was seconds away from being hit. Out of nowhere, a small frying spatula came whirling through the air. Whack! It smacked Wei Wan square on the head. She stumbled, lost balance and crashed to the ground, clutching her forehead in pain, trembling uncontrollably. Su Zilin lunged forward, scooping Henin safely into his arms. A few feet away, Fu Bao looked down at her tiny hand, guilt written across her face. Fu Bao, might have used too much strength. I promised Uncle I wouldn't show off my power in front of others. Su Yichen knelt beside her, ruffling her hair with a soft smile. It's okay, sweetheart. You did great. Then came the sharp whoop 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 of sirens in the distance. A police officer rushed out of the car, badge flashing, voice firm. Wei Wan, you are under arrest for the murder committed 6 years ago. The evidence is conclusive. You're coming with us. Wei Wan froze, her heart dropped. 6 years ago that case was buried, there shouldn't be any proof left. The officer flipped open a file, his tone sharp. We found your fingerprints on an oil paper envelope. Inside the envelope was a stack of cash. After tracing the serial numbers, we confirmed those bills came from your withdrawal in Lin County. 6 years ago. He paused, voice cold as steel. You hired someone to poison Mr. Zilin, then silence the killer afterward. The evidence is conclusive. Take her away. Wei Wan's body went limp, her face ghostly pale. It's been 6 years. How could they still find me? Dragged into the car, she clawed at the window, crying, Zilin. Henin's still a child. She can't live without her mother. From outside, the officer asked flatly, and that head injury? How did you get it? Su Yichen stepped forward, pointing at his brother. They struggled. She tried to take the child into the lake. My brother hit her to stop it. Su Zilin blinked, then quickly nodded. Yet I hit her. The officer jotted notes, glancing up. And, what did you hit her with? Don't worry, just procedure. Su Zilin bent down, picked up a tiny toy spatula, and handed it over. The cop stared, dumbfounded. You're telling me? This thing did that? Su Zilin's expression didn't even twitch. Absolutely. The officer sighed, slid the spatula into an evidence bag and walked off, like he was carrying Excalibur itself. Fu Bao stood silently watching the police car drive away. Her lips trembled. My little spatula got arrested. She whispered sadly that I didn't mean to abandon you, Mr. Spatula. Grandma Su bent down, worry written all over her face. Fu Bao, are you okay, sweetheart? Fu Bao shook her head, smiling softly. It's okay, Grandma. When the old goes away, something new will come. Su Zilin chuckled faintly. There won't be anything new, he said quietly. I won't ever look for another in this life. The chaos finally settled. Sufa ruffled Fu Bao's hair with a gentle smile. Don't think too much, kiddo. Come on. Third uncle's taking you to get some food. Fu Bao's eyes lit up instantly. Really? Anything I want? Even grilled meat? Su Zilin rolled closer in his wheelchair, smiling. Grandma said one skewer only. Grilled food's too hot for you. Fu Bao's little face drooped. She glanced longingly at the grill and whispered a sad goodbye to each shiny, sizzling skewer. Sufa laughed. Oh, let her have a few more. If she gets too heated, there's always Lao Ba. The parrot immediately perked up at the name, bobbing its head and squawking Lao Ba. Lao Ba. But go boom. Su Ishan, who was walking ahead, nearly tripped over his own feet. He turned and glared at the parrot, speechless. Just then Shuer approached with a strawberry cake in her hands, smiling sweetly. Fu Bao, wanna share this with me? Her smile was sugar-sweet. After all, no kid could ever resist strawberry cake. And no one could ever resist Shuer's charm. But Fu Bao shook her head firmly. No, I'm saving my tummy for third uncle's grilled meat. Shuer froze, her smile faltering. Do you not like me, Fu Bao? She asked in a trembling voice. Fu Bao looked straight at her and nodded seriously. Aha. You said mean things about me last time, remember? Why'd you forget? Shuer's eyes widened. No one had ever rejected her so bluntly. She turned and bolted away, tears brimming. Fu Bao's a bad kid. You're bullying me, she cried as she ran. But no one noticed. The shadows in the nearby grove stirred. Something dark crept along the grass, writhing silently. It lifted its head, face smeared with sticky watermelon juice. With a low hiss, it reached out toward the Su family. Across its hand ran jagged, blood-red cracks, like the veins of a cursed ghost child. Floating beside Fu Bao, Ji Chong finally appeared, grinning lazily. All right, little backpack. Class time. Fu Bao puffed up her cheeks. Ugh, master, you're so naggy. She muttered, every time you're free you make me study, and it's always stuff Fu Bao doesn't understand. Ji Chong chuckled softly, whispering near her ear, it's fine if you don't understand now. One day you'll use it, and then it'll all make sense. Today's lesson, he said, is about the first of the 5 disciplines, the mountain path. It means the way of entering the mountains to cultivate alchemy, talismans, formations, secret arts. And the next one, medicine, includes healing, astrology, divination, even the so-called witch doctors. Fu Bao's little ears perked up. A witch doctor? Does that mean Fu Bao has to dance like a shaman? No way. They'll catch me. Ji Chong sighed, rubbing his temples. Who taught you that nonsense? Turns out back when Lin Feng took her out, they'd run into a crazy guy yelling he was a spirit medium, dancing wildly in the street. The police took him away on the spot. Ji Chong couldn't help chuckling. Well, yeah, that'll get you arrested. But real secret arts aren't flashy tricks. He leaned in, voice soft. All you need to know is, if you master it, you can heal your grandma. Instantly, Fu Bao straightened her back, sitting upright like the most obedient student in the world. Fu Bao wants to learn. Fu Bao wants to save grandma. Seeing her so serious, Ji Chong smirked faintly, a satisfied little grin of a teacher whose plan was working perfectly. And so the lesson began. When Ji Chong mentioned dream interpretation, Fu Bao raised her hand at once. You mean fortune-telling dreams? Fu Bao knows that. But the last time someone tried that, Uncle Police took him away. She explained how a blind man once offered to read her fortune, and before he could finish, cops showed up and dragged him off. Fu Bao's round face scrunched up. Master, can we learn something that won't get us caught? Ji Chong groaned, palm to forehead. What kind of shady places did you and that cheap dad of yours even go to? At the mention of her father, Fu Bao's smile faded. Daddy said he was just going to buy cigarettes, she murmured, and told me to wait there. Ji Chang's casual tone vanished, his eyes narrowing. That bastard didn't take her out, he abandoned her. And you actually waited there? Fu Bao nodded softly. I stood right on that square stone tile. And I didn't move. I was really good. But in the end, Daddy still forgot about Fubao. Her little smile faded, replaced by a quiet, fragile stillness. Master, she whispered, Daddy actually wanted to throw Fubao away, right? Fubao knew it. When he turned around and left, I knew he wasn't coming back. Ji Chong fell silent for a long moment. His chest tightened. You silly kid. He placed a gentle hand on her head, voice calm but firm. Listen, little backpack. If someone doesn't want you, you don't want them either. The ones who abandon you don't deserve forgiveness, and they sure don't deserve your sadness. Fubao nodded, half understanding. Then as quickly as rain turns to sun, her smile returned. Then Master, teach Fubao traditional medicine. Fubao knows it's safe. No one gets arrested and you can even go on TV. Ji Chong groaned and pinched the bridge of his nose. Can you go 3 sentences without mentioning getting arrested or being on TV? You don't know. Fubao blinked. It's those TV shows that sell miracle medicine. That's how Fubao learned about doctors. She puffed up proudly and began reciting like a commercial announcer. Ancient family secret formula. Cures anything from. Then she paused, frowning. Master, what does impotence mean? Ji Chang's lips twitched. It means when you're lifting weights and can't lift them up. Fubao gasped in awe. Wow. That's amazing. Ji Chong rolled his eyes. Amazing, my ass. Do you know all those people ended up in jail? Fubao blinked in confusion. Why are Master's lessons always so weird? Everything he teaches can get you arrested, but for Grandma, Fubao's gotta risk it. Ji Chong chuckled at the sight of her pouty little face. You've got some funny ideas about medicine, huh? Guess Master's gotta start from the basics. Traditional medicine is actually... Before he could finish, Henin came running over with a handful of skewers. Here. Fubao's eyes lit up. Thanks, Henin. Henin frowned slightly. Don't thank me. I wasn't giving it to you on purpose. I just couldn't finish that much, okay? Oh? Fubao nodded obediently. Seeing that, Henin turned and dashed away, her mood visibly lighter. If one looked closely, they'd notice that the gloom she carried since her mother's arrest had quietly faded away, replaced by a rare, childlike ease. Meanwhile, Shuer tugged at her mother's sleeve, staring at Fubao's sparkling starry night dress. That shimmer, that attention, it made her heart twist with jealousy. Just then, Shuer's mom overheard a murmur from the crowd. Professor Lau, the legendary painter, was speaking softly. I'm thinking of taking in a new student, a young one. Her eyes widened instantly. Lau was a national-level art master, someone so reclusive he rarely appeared in public. And now he was talking about taking a disciple? Her pulse raced. If my Shuer catches his eye, I'll be bragging for an entire year. She leaned down and whispered, Shuer, Professor Lau's here. You'd better impress him. Shuer's eyes sparkled with excitement. Don't worry, Mom. I'm the best at painting. My work's already in the National Art Gallery. Of course he'll pick me. Holding her daughter's hand, Shuer's mom approached Professor Lau with a polished smile. Professor Lau, may I ask, which lucky child has caught your eye this time? The old master chuckled warmly, stroking his beard. A young one. Uses bold colors, wild imagination, vivid and dreamlike strokes. Frankly, one of the best prodigies I've seen in decades. Shuer's mother's heart leapt. It must be Shuer. Her back straightened proudly, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. Sensing her mother's excitement, little Shuer blushed and decided to show off a bit. Hello, Grandpa Lau, she chirped. I'm Lon Shuer. I really love your paintings. You're my idol. The professor looked down, surprised. Thank you, little one. Shuer's heart soared. He noticed me, he really did. Just then, a clear voice called from behind. Professor Lau, you're here. Su Ishan walked over, holding little Fubao's hand. The old master turned, his expression softening. This must be Fubao, right? Fubao nodded obediently. She stepped forward, tilted her head up and said brightly, Hello, teacher. My name is Fubao. The professor blinked, then burst into laughter. Good. Little Fubao, how old are you? Fubao's tiny eyes darted, studying the old man seriously. This grandpa doesn't seem too sharp. She answered proudly. Fubao just turned 4, so of course Fubao's 4 years old, Grandpa Lau. Professor Lau suddenly felt oddly insulted by a toddler. He coughed awkwardly. Right, teacher's getting old, huh? Fubao grinned. That's okay. Fubao gets dumb sometimes too. Laughter rippled through the crowd. But off to the side, Shuer and her mother stood frozen, smiles stiff, jealousy quietly tightening in their chests. Dr. smiled politely. Professor Lau, my father's waiting for you inside. The old master's eyes lit up immediately. Oh, perfect. I can't wait to see Fubao's paintings. Hearing that, Shuer froze. Wait, what? Wasn't he going to make me his student? She twisted her fingers anxiously. Grandpa Lau, what about me? The professor glanced at her kindly and chuckled. You're a good kid too, but Grandpa's got something to do first, all right? And with that he followed the Su family inside. Schwer's mother's smile stiffened. Anger and jealousy burned under her skin. Again, that little girl steals the spotlight every time. But no matter how furious she was, she could only swallow it down and keep her composure. After all, she knew the truth. Money couldn't buy what the Su family had, nor could it buy favor from someone like Professor Lau. She leaned toward her daughter. Don't worry, sweetheart, we'll wait here. Maybe he'll come out to see your drawings too. Meanwhile, in the Su family's second-floor study, old Mr. beamed. This is the greatest master in the country, little one. Go on, say hello to your old teacher. Fu Bao nodded, eyes sparkling. Hello, old teacher. The professor burst into laughter. Good. So polite. Tell me, Fu Bao, what are these paintings of yours about? At the mention of her artwork, Fu Bao's face lit up like a lantern. She started explaining with animated gestures. Her magical world full of bright colors and strange creatures. Across the desk, the old man leaned closer, listening with childlike delight, laughing out loud every few moments. Watching them, one old, one small, Su Yichen couldn't help but smile softly. Finally, he thought, Fu Bao's got a friend. Even if that friend happened to be 70 years older. Meanwhile, tension filled the other side of the Su household like a storm about to break. Su Zilin glared at his wife. You're the one who let her in, aren't you? When will you stop? Wei Wan's voice was sharp, trembling with anger. Everything I've done was for our daughter. You're her father. Why don't you ever protect her? Do you even know how much Henin has suffered? Su Zilin's face darkened. He said nothing for a long moment, then suddenly slammed a stack of papers onto the table. Divorce. Wei Wan froze. What did you say? But he was already walking away. Her scream tore through the silence. I won't sign it. I'll never agree to a divorce. Elsewhere, little Fu Bao was happily escorting old teacher out the door. Her round face glowed with joy. She had found a real friend, even if he was several generations older. Grandpa said it right, she thought proudly, waving both hands. He really is my old friend. Bye, old teacher, she chirped. Sitting in the car, Professor Lau couldn't stop smiling. He pulled out his phone again and scrolled through the photos. Bright, whimsical, full of life. Each one painted by that tiny girl named Fu Bao. As his car slowed near the road, he noticed two figures waiting and stepped out politely. Excuse me, may I ask who you are? A well-dressed woman beamed. Grandpa Lau, I'm Lon Schwer, remember me? First place in the National Children's Ink competition. The professor blinked, puzzled. Sorry, little one, I don't recall. Schwer's eyes widened in disbelief. How could you forget me? You said you'd take me as your student. Professor Lau chuckled kindly, sliding back into the car. I'm afraid I've already taken a student. Her name's Fu Bao. You must know her, right? Before Schwer could respond, the car had already pulled away. Watching the taillights disappear, Schwer's mother's face twisted with resentment. He must have been paid off. Of course, Schwer muttered bitterly. That's the only reason that little brat got chosen. After seeing her old teacher off, Fu Bao bounced back to her room, washed up and changed into her pink fuzzy pajamas. The hood had two long bunny ears, making her look like a tiny cotton cloud. So cute it could melt anyone's heart. Grandma Su smiled kindly, her eyes full of warmth and pity. If anything happens at night, remember to press the bell beside your bed, all right? Good night, Grandma, Fu Bao said sweetly, waving her little hand as Grandma left the room. As soon as the door closed, Ji Chong floated in through the wall, face gloomy. That old man had actually stolen his disciple. Great, he muttered. Even being a master's a competition now. Hey little backpack, he said grandly, how about I open your celestial eye tonight? Once it's open you'll be able to see me. You know, whoosh. Throwing fireballs and stuff. Fu Bao turned away stubbornly. No. I'm gonna learn painting with my old friend teacher. That's what real kids should do. Ji Chong raised a brow. Oh really? And what should little kids do? Fu Bao climbed into bed, counting on her fingers. Eat, sleep, draw and play with Xiao Wu. She snuggled under the blanket and added seriously, so right now Fu Bao's supposed to sleep. Ji Chang's ghostly face twitched. If it weren't for that promise to Su Jingyu, I wouldn't be babysitting this little rascal. He sighed and drifted closer, but then Fu Bao rolled over, her back facing him. Master, did you forget? When Mama played Rainbow Slide with me in heaven, she said the same thing. Ji Chang asked softly, didn't she tell you to train hard with your master? That once you get strong you'll be able to see your mom more often? Little Fubao frowned, her voice serious despite the childish tone. That day on the rainbow slide, it was you, not Mama. Mama hugged Fubao once. Then she left. Ji Chong froze midair. How did you know that? Fubao puffed her cheeks. You're so dumb, master. Your big ol' feet were sticking out. Mama's feet aren't that huge. Ji Chong groaned, slapping his forehead. Unbelievable. I actually made such a rookie mistake. The next morning, everyone was baffled. Wait. Why is Fubao in Henin's room? Even more surprising, Henin was up early, cheerful, not her usual grumpy self. After breakfast, the two little girls trotted to the study together. Fubao sat there beside Henin, carefully teaching her how to draw, looking every bit like a tiny, serious art teacher. Fubao beamed and handed Henin a clean sheet of paper. Here Henin turned her head away, huffing, I don't want yours. Yet despite her words, she still reached out and took it. Fubao blinked. But you said you didn't want it. Henin's cheeks turned pink. Mine's not white enough. I'll barely use yours. A few minutes later, Grandpa Su walked in, smiling at the two little girls buried in crayons and brushes. So, what are my little artists drawing today? He chuckled as he took out his phone and started a video call to Professor Lau. Fubao lifted up their drawings proudly. Old friend. These are mine and sister's. Can you see them clearly? The professor's cheerful voice came through. Both of you did wonderfully. Mind if I share them with my students? Fubao turned to Henin. Do you mind? Henin hesitated, then shook her head quickly. I don't mind. Then we don't mind either. Fubao grinned and held up the paper. You can take the picture now. At that moment, a faint sparkle lit up in Henin's eyes. So this is what it feels like to be praised. She thought to herself, no one ever praised me before except Mom. But Mom always said Fubao was a bad kid. Maybe Mom was wrong. Meanwhile, outside the Su estate, Wei Wan, who had been thrown out earlier, finally couldn't hold back anymore. She came back, but before she could even step past the gate, the guards turned her away. After hearing from the kindergarten that Henin hadn't shown up today, she started wandering aimlessly around the estate walls, circling again and again like a restless ghost. Suddenly, Wei Wan spotted Henin through the iron fence. The little girl was laughing, playing happily with Fubao. A sour feeling twisted inside Wei Wan's chest. Such a good child, and she's hanging around that girl? She'll be ruined if this keeps up. She couldn't hold it in any longer and shouted, Henin, Mommy's here. Mommy came to see you. Henin froze mid-scoop while catching fish with Fubao. Huh. I think I just heard Mom calling me. Fubao quickly covered her ears. No, you didn't hear anything. She glanced toward the fence. Wei Wan stood there, surrounded by a dark, ghostly aura. Fubao's heart tightened. I can't let Henin go near her. She grabbed Henin's hand. Run. There's a big monster behind us. Henin gasped, remembering the white shadow from last night. I don't want to get caught by the monster, she screamed, taking off faster than Fubao, her tiny feet pattering away like the wind. Outside the fence, Wei Wan was trembling with rage. That little white lotus brat, she fumed. She's turning my daughter against me.